Well, Black Mirror tried to warn us. Were we wrong not to listen? Because robot dogs, visually quite similar to the ones featured prominently in a season 4 episode of the hit Dystopian Netflix show, are set to be deployed in Gaza. As Israel-Hamas war continues, the former is trying to innovative ideas to avoid harming Israeli soldiers and also real dogs. The IDF has been experimenting with the use of robots and remote-controlled dogs in the Gaza war. Per Haaretz reporting, most of the tests have been with a robot dog, which is also equipped with a drone and can replace or reinforce the Oketz unit's dogs in certain situations. Unmanned remote-controlled D9 bulldozers also being used. The robot integration is the result of the collaboration of Philadelphia-based Ghost Robotics that developed dog-shaped walking robots and also an Israeli startup, Robotican. The robot's primary use is for initial surveillance of buildings.
Meanwhile, Boston Dynamics and a number of other robotics companies are pledging that they will not weaponize their robots. Per Axios, the companies say that adding weapons to robots that are remotely or autonomously operated, widely available to the public, and capable of navigating to previously inaccessible locations where people live and work raises new risk of harm and serious ethical issues. Similarly, as per Politico, Israel's use of AI warfare is under scrutiny. The report says it's a push for accountability that could force Washington to confront some uncomfortable questions about the extent to which the U.S. is letting its ally off the hook for its use of AI-powered warfare. All right, so...
I remember that Black Mirror episode. I did not like it.
It did not go. So to be clear, the dogs in that episode had the capacity to shoot you and kill you.
And they had accidentally been set their standards for lethal, like kill everyone on site, and
right,
couldn't undo
right,
that.
And that's not what's happening here. But when Boston Dynamics releases videos of their new dogs or new robots, they often go viral for two reasons. One, just the technological capacity of sending an unmanned, drone-like thing into a space. The risk-benefit is tilted in such a way that really suggests that you can kill a lot of people without a lot of harm coming to yourself, right? There's no risk for you if you're sending in drones, if you're sending in dogs and the like. And I think that's what is raising some concerns about their application in Gaza, where already the death tolls are so asymmetrical, with over 30,000 people having been killed in Gaza. The other part that raises eyebrows is that often in those test videos, they demonstrate the stability and the integrity of the dog by kicking them in a way that strikes the conscience of people who like real dogs, and it's obviously not real. It's okay, you can kick a robot,
it doesn't really look that much like a dog.
Well, but have you seen these videos? They start to scamper to regain their balance in a way that feels very lifelike. And if you look into the comments of any video like that, people going, "Oh no, don't kick it." And also,
I'm just saying don't kick it because don't make it go full silent.
But that's the other part of it, right? Are you going to cause it to gain consciousness and hate human beings because you just had to test whether it could stand back up again? So they've loomed large in the public imagination, is my point. And I think that's why a part of why you're seeing some concern about how they're going to be applied in the context of Gaza.
Sure. I mean, the issue with these concerns, which I do share, to be clear, I don't want armies of robot dog drones monitoring, surveilling our society, being able to use force against people. It is very dystopian and it is something to be afraid of. There is also in theory, and frankly, possibly more than in theory, the accuracy of robots and drones versus actually physically ground troops can be it can cut both ways. They can be more accurate and thus actually preserve civilian, in theory, preserve civilian life. Sending in the history of warfare, standing armies kill everything in sight, massive civilian casualties, and so on. If you can more narrowly target to defeat actual targets, actual enemy combatants without doing civilian harm. Again, I'm using the word in theory a lot, but there is a case that the technology can be more accurate and you could actually preserve life. Now, but at the same time, it cuts both ways because using that technology presents such drastically reduced risk to the attackers that then maybe they can take risks that they wouldn't have otherwise take because the threat to their lives is low. So it does cut both ways.
Right, it does cut both. So in Gaza, for instance, the bulk of the casualties have occurred because of air bombardments, right? So the argument for air bombardments from the Israeli side was that we don't want to risk our soldiers. So you're getting really indiscriminate attacks because there is no way in a population as densely concentrated as Gaza to not bomb civilian targets and to have a lot of civilian casualties, as we've seen in Gaza.
I think the idea would be that the civilian casualties might frankly be, the civilian casualties would be worse and the Israeli casualties would be worse if they sent in a massive army and went door to door doing.
Well, maybe, but then maybe you wouldn't have either because the equal risk and value of life on both sides would cause you not to. I mean, but there's this the other concern is that there's been reporting about a lot of friendly fire deaths within the IDF. Is the robot going to be more or less able to ascertain who they should be killing? The IDF has also come under scrutiny for, as you know, famously killing 3 Israeli hostages as they waved white flags trying to come back to the Israeli side. Do we have more or less confidence that a robot, as opposed to an IDF soldier, is going to be able to discern that this is a hostage, this is someone who is not carrying a weapon, this is someone waving a white flag who quite obviously should not be shot? I don't know, those are tough questions.
But that was an example of human, well, it's been alleged that it's an example of human error. So again, the words in theory, the technology could be better than human error and wouldn't make mistakes.
Yeah, there's different ways to read that situation that are more or less flattering to the IDF and what their goals are, and we've talked about those on the show. But the other question is whether or not the robot dogs or any other technology like this can be used to aid in the effort of digging out Palestinians who are crushed under rubble. And this part of the story has taken a back seat as I think the mode of warfare has shifted in Gaza. But during the first months of the war, remember, one of the most tragic aspects of it that there were people who survived these air bombings, whose voices you could hear from inside of the rubble, but because of the lack of access to construction machinery that could lift heavy pieces of concrete and metal and the fuel to power that machinery, families had to dig through with their hands and just hope that they were going to be able to find and save people who had survived but ultimately would succumb to their wounds or die of hunger or thirst because they couldn't be recovered. So if there's a robot dog that can help in that excavation process, I think that would be welcome. I think there are legitimate questions about whether or not anything about the context and posture of Israel in this war toward the humanitarian interests of Gaza would indicate that would be the goal of sending something like that into Gaza.
Again, the machines aren't thinking for themselves. What they're doing is guided by human beings. It's just a technology, it's just a tool, and ultimately it's whether we use it for good or evil still. It's not beyond our ability to control it yet. That does it for us for today. Tomorrow on Rising, I will actually be having the day off, so Amber Duke will be in my seat, and that should be fun for you.
So be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen while you're on the move, we're now available anywhere you listen to podcasts.
See you next week.
Take care.